Hi folks, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be learning how to create text and then create an offset with it for cutting out of vinyl or cardstock. This is a really great project to start with. It's something that you can do sort of straight out of the box. So if you've just bought your Silhouette machine, or you're coming over from a Cricut or other cutting machine, it's a great project to start with. It'll get you used to some of the tools that are involved, and it's quite simple because text already has its own cut lines. So we'll get into that in a second, but this is what we're going to create. We're going to create a name, and this is so that you could cut it out of pink vinyl, and then you could layer it on top of black vinyl. So that's what we're going to end up with. And I'll just drag this off to the side. So I've already set up my screen ready for creating this project. So if you haven't got to this step yet, go back. I've got a previous video on how to set up your screen for cutting vinyl projects. So the first thing we're going to do is over on the left here is the A icon. This is for creating text, and you'll notice that your cursor changes to a little text cursor. So click anywhere on your screen to bring up your text, and I'm going to type my word, actually. And I'm also going to type some other text here just so you can see some other tools that we've got, other options. So this is our text. We've just typed it out. You then, while your cursor is still active, you can click and highlight your text. You can move your cursor so you could type in the middle of your text, just sort of like a word processor. What we're going to do is then go over onto the right-hand side. So the left-hand A is for creating text. Click over on the right-hand side. That's for editing text. So I'm going to choose this font called Lucida Handwriting. This should be on your computer. It sort of comes standard with PCs. I'm not exactly sure about Mac. But if you select this font, then you can work along with me and design along with me every step of the way. So now that we've selected our font, you can see that we've got Ashley and then example text, and we've got this over 2 lines. You might notice that on the right-hand side, you've got this blue bar, and when you hover over it, your cursor changes to a left and right arrow. You can click on this bar and move it. So this is the edge of your text box. So you can see as I move it over the word example, it bumps example down to the previous line, and if I keep going in, it bumps the word text down to the previous line. So if I wanted these on 3 lines, I could bring this all the way in, and then I could select my text and I could center it using the center tool, or I could right justify or left justify. And then you've also got your underline and italics. Note that not all fonts come in italics or bold. That just depends on the way the font has been designed. The other tools we have are line spacing. So if you want to bring your words further apart or closer together, that's here. And if you want to increase your character spacing, so this is the distance between your letters. And you'll see that none of them go outside of this blue line. Again, if you want to bring this out wider, you can do that just by clicking and dragging. So I'm going to bring these back to 100. And for this example, I'm just going to use the word Ashley. So I'm going to delete that text, and we've just got the word left. And I'm going to bring this blue bar in because it just makes the text box a bit more manageable. So there's a few ways we can adjust the size of text. The first is with the point size on the right-hand side of your text style toolbar. So we could make this much bigger. Again, I'll have to drag my blue line out. So this is 144 point. This is quite large already. The other way we can do it is just by clicking on our box. So you click out of your box to stop editing your text, reselect your text box, and then you can click and drag. And the final way is to go into our transform panel tool, and you can go to the scale menu, and you can actually type in exactly what width you would like your text to be, making sure you keep the locked so that the width and height adjust at the same rate as each other. So if I knew I wanted this 30 centimeters wide, I can do it using that tool. Note that when you're adjusting the dimensions, you're adjusting the dimensions of the text box, not necessarily the exact width of the text. So I'll show you that after we do some other things to this text, you'll have a more accurate size reference here. So you'll also notice that the S, H, L, E, and Y overlap each other a little bit. And if we zoom in a little bit closer, you can probably see that a bit more clearly, that the S overlaps the H overlaps the L, etc. And we don't want that, because if this cuts, you'll notice that it cuts into each of the letters and it'll make it really difficult to read, and it will probably cut poorly. So we're going to fix that. So the first thing you want to do is right click on your text and click weld. This is going to join all of your letters together. that are overlapping. So you'll notice the A has become separated from the rest of the word. That's because nothing was overlapping the A. So we've got the A separate, and then we've got S, H, L, E, and Y all joined together with no overlapping cut lines. So I'm going to select these two now and group them together. This is really just so it's easier to move around my screen and it's easier to work with. It doesn't affect the cutting of this word at all. Now that we've done that, you'll see that the size, which was set at 30, is now back to 25. So maybe I want to make that 30 centimeters again. Maybe I want to make it 28 centimeters, and then hit enter. And now you have an accurate size guide from left to right. So it's really important that you do weld your word once you're done selecting the font and editing the type. So now we can fill this in with pink, if we were going to cut it out of pink, and you could actually load your vinyl up now and cut this from pink vinyl just as is and apply it to a tumbler or a t-shirt, whatever you like. But what we want to do is we want to get this black outline because maybe we don't like the way this looks and we want to have it offset. So to do that, we're going to go to the offset panel, and you've got the option for offset or internal offset. We want to go on the outside, so we're going to select the offset tool. And this, you'll notice it's built a red line around the word. We want to make sure that all of our letters are connected with this offset. So I'm going to drag my distance out until the A and the S offset overlap. And I like it like that. You'll see that they overlap here. That's okay. Once you hit apply, you'll see it join together. Now we could cut it out exactly like this, but you'll notice there's a tiny little red dot in here on the inside of the A and a small section on the inside of the E. So if I fill this in with black or any other color, you'll see that there's little bits of white that show through, and they will cut out of the vinyl, and I don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of them. The easiest way is to right click. I'm going to fill it back in with transparent. Is to right click on your offset and release the compound path. That's going to separate your inside lines from your outside offset. So now holding the shift key down, deselect your offset, which leaves only your two inside sections selected, and then hit the delete key. Now your offset is one nice big bubble with no inside cut lines. And so that we can visually see it, we're going to fill it in with black. And now this is ready to cut. So what you would do is you would move this off of your mat, you would load up your pink vinyl, and you would put this word on your screen, you would send it to cut, you would unload your pink vinyl, move the pink lettering away, and then put the black vinyl back on. Load up your black vinyl, cut out your black lettering, and then you would layer your pink on top of your black, and then put it onto your t-shirt or mug, or whatever you like. Okay. So the other thing to note is that when I designed these, I left them with a red outline. If you're just cutting this out of vinyl, it doesn't matter what color you use. But I like to use red for both my outlines because when I go to the send panel, I'm going to select my red to cut and then select my material from it. So that way, when I'm designing, I know exactly what's going to cut. It's my red outlines that'll be cut every time. So that's the basics of this project. Give it a go. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm also going to just run through a couple of things that you might run into that may cause issues. But if you're at this point and you're happy with your design, go ahead and cut it out and see how it goes. One of the things that can happen is if you do a smaller offset like this, you'll see that you've got quite a few sections in the hollows out of your A, O, and C in this case. And you've got quite a small join here, which can be a problem for layering. So we're going to, again, right click on our offset and we're going to release the compound path. We're going to, holding the shift key, select or unselect the offset and then delete those inside lines. The next thing we're going to do is go to the point editor. So you can access this by clicking on the edit points. And you'll see we've got all these gray dots and they're all points on the outside of your line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on a blank space of red line to create a new point. And then with my shift key held down, I'm going to select some of these other points and I'm going to delete them. So now it's just going to join between these two closest points and it's going to give us a bigger space to work with on the inside here. So that'll just probably make it a little bit easier for cutting and layering your vinyl. The same thing with this. This is a slightly larger offset and you can see that you've got this really thin gap between your two lines, and it's probably just going to cause an issue and it won't give you the best visual outcome. So again, we're going to do the same thing. Click on the outside offset, release the compound path, holding Shift key down, we're going to unselect our offset and delete, and then we're going to double click to edit our points. We're going to make sure there are 2 points close together that we're going to want our line to connect with. Holding the Shift key down, select your points that you don't want and delete them. And now we've got this nice big space here, and our blade is not going to have trouble cutting around this close corner. Same thing with this. This little tiny space, while your blade can get in there, it might struggle a little bit. So I like to just kind of simplify some of these points, if I can, or if I feel like it. Just to make that curve a little bit nicer, it's easier for the blade to navigate that space. And visually, I think it will just create a better outcome. And again, we're going to release the compound path, holding the Shift key, delete our inside lines. And one more time, just for fun. The other way you can remove these inside points is to double click on your line and actually just select them and delete them. But I find it easier to release the compound path and do it all in one go than do some fussy, unnecessary editing. So then all of these would now be ready to cut. And the amount of offset you use will just depend on your design, and some of these issues may or may not happen depending on how big or small you want your offset to be. So I hope this has helped. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below and I'll see if I can help you out. Otherwise, have fun, have a great day, and tune back in for more videos later. Bye.